Today, I'd like to talk about a book by Jim Kwik called Limitless. In the book, he discusses the top 10 brain foods. So, the top 10 brain foods, according to Jim Kwik: avocados. They provide monosaturated fat, which helps maintain healthy blood flow. Blueberries. Now, blueberries are one of my favorites. And, we had somebody in the clinic who came in for other things, but they said, Grandpa is starting to lose his mind and he will not take any supplements and he will not change his diet in any way. I said, so what can we do to restore Grandpa's mind? I said, will he take blueberries? I said, yeah, I'll add some blueberries. So, the other problem with Grandpa is if he told you it was good for his health, he wouldn't take it. As I said, eating broccoli is good for, no, I don't want any broccoli. So you'd like some blueberries every day, wouldn't you, Grandpa? Oh yeah, sure. You'd like blueberries for your memory, right, Grandpa? Oh no, don't push any health foods on me. So anyway, Grandpa took like 2 servings a day of blueberries. I think that's like half a pint, but you'd have to do your own research there. And after 6 months to a year, Grandpa had better memory. But in terms of scientifically, blueberries help protect your brain from oxidative stress and reduce the effects of brain aging. They can also have also been used as studies to show that they help with memory. So think about blueberries as one of the best cognitive foods. Now, speaking of the devil, broccoli. I like broccolini. What about you? I find broccolini, which is young broccoli, much tastier than broccolini, especially if you can spice it up with things like olive oil and healing spices. A great source of vitamin K, which is known to improve cognitive function and memory. So according to Jim Kwik, broccoli will help your memory through its vitamin K activity. Broccoli is also cancer protective, contains something called sulforaphane. Dark chocolate, now that's something sweet. Dark chocolate helps your focus and your concentration and stimulates endorphins. Those are your feel-good molecules. Chocolate also has flavonoids, many plants have flavonoids too, which have been shown to improve cognitive function. The darker here is better, as the darker chocolate has the least sugar. And we've already talked about how sugar is something to eat sparingly, particularly if you have a chronic disease. Eggs provide memory improving and brain boosting choline. Now, if you were like my late mother, she's been gone for 12 years or something. Anyway, you'd say, oh, don't eat eggs. They're bad for cholesterol. How many times have we heard that? Well, one of my nutrition mentors, Dr. Alan Gabby, actually studied his patients. And what he found out is that only some of his patients have high cholesterol due to eggs. So he put everybody that wanted to take eggs on eggs. And he found out only some of those patients, I believe if my memory serves correctly, about 1/5 of the patients taking eggs every day showed high cholesterol from the eggs. So, but eggs are a great food. Eggs are a great brain food. They're a great protein source. They're a great source of lean protein. And you know what? I'm allergic to eggs, so I don't eat eggs, but they're great food. So usually, when people are allergic to something, they go, that is terrible, right? But it was good that I heard a talk once on cancer. And the guy says, yeah, maybe a glass of wine a day might have some cancer protective properties. He goes, now I'm in AA, so I don't recommend wine drinking unless you're already drinking, but it does have some protective capabilities. Then Jim Kwik says, green leafy vegetables, they are good sources of vitamin E, which reduces the effects of brain aging, and folate, which has been shown to improve memory. Quick goes on to say salmon, sardines, and caviar. They're rich in omega-3 essential fatty acids, which help reduce the effects of brain aging. He talks about turmeric, which can be taken as a supplement or added to foods, soups, stews, or even teas. One you may not have known about, Jim Duke is somebody that I shared the stage with a couple times. Jim Duke is was one of America's best known herbalists. I believe he's not with us anymore. But Jim Duke taught me about walnuts. Walnuts provide high levels of antioxidants and vitamin E that protect the neurons and protect against brain aging. Walnuts also have high levels of zinc and magnesium, which are good for the mood. And the last one is water. Have you ever heard we're about 80% water? The human beings are water. So dehydration can cause brain fog, fatigue, and slower reaction and thinking speed. So studies show that well-hydrated people score better on brain power tests. And so in clinical practice, we always recommended that patients get at least 64 ounces of water in the form of water or herbal teas. And we had to stress herbal teas because one time a woman came in and she was just like wired to the gills, right? Well, she was drinking coffee, 2 cups a day of coffee in the morning. Then she was taking 1 cup a day of coffee at lunch and 64 ounces of green tea because she heard that was an herb. And so she was just getting over caffeinated. So it's herbal, caffeine-free herbal teas, which will help restore water. Also, if you're taking any coffee, you probably need an extra glass of water for every water or herbal tea, for every glass of coffee or black or green tea you take. So those are my basic suggestions. These are remedies and approaches that have helped thousands and thousands of people, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people through not only our clinic that we used to run, but also our advisory service. And I know many of these techniques, some of them you haven't heard of, but many of them can be shared with friends and family members, and they'll help people with long COVID, fibromyalgia, and other diseases that have chronic fatigue in them. So again, I want to end with my Andrew's top 5 anti-fatigue strategies. Strategy number 1 is increasing your protein. And in the clinic, we were having people that didn't have liver or kidney disease go up to 50 to 100 grams a day of protein to help restore the immune system and to help lessen fatigue. So something you should talk about to your health professional is boosting up your protein intake. Now, when I was recovering from post-viral syndrome, the only way I could get into 50 to 100 grams a day of protein. Now, remember, even if you take a big steak, you know, even a half-pound steak, it's not all protein. A lot of that's fat. So it's actually the grams of protein in the serving that you're looking at. So the only way Andrew can get 50 to 100 grams a day of protein is to use meat and to use shakes and to use bars. So I actually found a pretty healthy bar that has 20 grams of protein, but some of the other bars have 15 grams of protein. So I would have a shake for breakfast with grains. At lunch, I'd usually have some sort of meat-based protein. At dinner, I'd have some meat-based protein, and I'd have a bar or a shake in the afternoon to get up my protein level. The next thing I want to talk about, and I'm sorry if I'm a broken record, but work with a natural health professional who understands herbs, supplements, and diet from an out-of-the-box perspective. The next idea is, we really haven't talked about this too much, but it's pacing and chunking. So pacing revolves of don't do too much. Remember, I talked about the patient we saw in the clinic, I believe her name is Sue, And she could only go for an hour or 2 hours at the most without getting fatigued. And she'd literally have to lie down for an hour or two after every hour or two of activity. So that's what we call pacing. And you don't want to do what happens to many of my other chronic fatigue patients. I go, Martha, Mary, and Steve, please don't use all your energy at once. You know, these herbs, the acupuncture, these therapies are very powerful and you are going to feel better, but don't use all your energy at once, please. And what they all do is go, oh, I feel terrible. Oh, after my last appointment. I go, well, why? You're feeling so good. They go, well, I took my granddaughter shopping in the mall. I go, you took your granddaughter shopping in the mall. When's the last time you've done that? They go, oh, well, I've been sick like 3 years ago. I go, you got really tired. They go, real tired. My husband had to get us in the car. I was too tired to drive home. So that's spending all your bank account at once. You're spending your health reserves. You've got to pace. Don't spend it all at once. Be very judicious about that. Chunking has to do with, about 5 years ago, I learned about something called the Pomodoro technique. And it has to do with pizza preparation, but it's not about pizza preparation. Pomodoro technique says that an individual can only do 20 or 25 minutes of an activity without getting cognitively fatigued. I'm telling you, my long haul condition, post-viral syndrome, I could read for about 5 minutes and I was like, my brain is exhausted. So I would do something else for 5 minutes and come back to my reading. And the next week, after taking my herbs and supplements and pacing myself, I could do 10 minutes and then 20 minutes and then a half an hour. But the whole idea here is maybe you're trying to do too much. Maybe if you could just chunk it into bite-sized pieces, you'd be okay. You know, so nobody goes from not exercising to lifting a 50-pound weight. You know, one of my clients went from lifting just the barbell weight, the weight of the barbell without any weights added. That was her exercise. That's where she started. And then she added 2.5 pounds. And then she added 5 pounds. And then she added 7.5 or 10 pounds, slowly, slowly, slowly. So that's what we talk about in terms of pacing and chunking. We talked a little bit about Andrew's views of a balanced diet. It's low in allergy, low in sweets, low in alcohol. Alcohol is probably the #1 enemy for people recovering from a long haul condition such as long COVID or chronic fatigue. And then something that I'm, after all these years, just slowly trying to get. And this happened in the hospital. You know, I was really mad at somebody and I had a chaplain in the hospital. And I said, you know, there's somebody I just can't forgive. And I just don't know what to do. And the chaplain said, well, you know, come to think of it, forgiveness is kind of tough for me. I go, it is? She goes, yeah, it's kind of tough. But can you just acknowledge? Can you send loving kindness? So one of your homeworks today is to look up loving kindness meditation. So she goes, can you send loving kindness? I go, yeah, you know, I don't want this person, you know, I don't want bad on them. I just can't forgive them for what they did to me. But I don't want them to suffer unnecessarily. And so she taught me the loving kindness meditation. And I've learned this many times and I'm like, yeah, I'm an experienced meditation. I don't need that. But finally in the hospital bed, I was ready for loving kindness meditation. And so what this chaplain, who was an expert in meditation, helped me understand is that acceptance in meditation, it doesn't mean the same thing as agree, right? I cannot forgive this person. I cannot accept in that it was okay what they did. It wasn't okay. But I can acknowledge that it happened and I was a witness to what happened. So sometimes you can't even accept what happened, but you can acknowledge it and you can also witness it. So this concludes today's Get Well Now podcast. And we look forward to seeing you at getwellfoundation.org.